Alright, what's up everybody, Mr. Mirror here, and today we are looking at math operators in Java and how math works in Java. To get started, let's open up our Java class, big fish today. We have our class and main method already made, our public static void main string array of args. Now, I'm not going to do any scanner in this video or anything like that. We're just focusing on math operators. So I could do scanner, have user give input, use that in math operators, but I want to keep the video on the somewhat short side. So we're only going to be looking at math operators. Now, Java follows the same order of operations that you would see in a math class or anything like that. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, PEMDAS, however you refer to it, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, finally addition and subtraction. This is known as precedence in Java. The precedence level, there is a precedence level for operators and things like that. Outside of these normal math operators that we're going to look at, there is still precedence level on when things are executed, how they're executed. Princeton has an amazing website set up for their intro to CS course, which I will link down below, that talks about precedence, has a nice table set up so you can see the different precedence levels and everything like that. So again, that link will be in the description. So let's go in and let's do int, we'll say like result is equal to, let's do 9 plus 21 times 2 minus 3, we'll say. So we would expect, following order of operations, that the multiplication happens first, and then after that we work from the left to the right in terms of how the remaining operators happen, because addition and subtraction are at the same level of precedence. So it goes from left to right in terms of what happens first when we're talking about math and everything like that. And Java follows it the same way. So we would have 21 times 2 gives us our 42, plus 9, 51 minus 3, 48. Hopefully that is correct. And if we were to print this out, let's do a system.out.println, and then we would print out result. We could run our code and hopefully we get our 48. That's what I said, right? Yep. 48 is what we see. So we can see that happens the way we expect, or hopefully we expect. Now I could change the precedence here by putting parentheses around this first, meaning the 9 plus 21 would happen first, give us 30, times 2 is 60, minus 3 would be 57. And again, you could have multiple parentheses, you could have exponents. We're not going to see how to do exponents in here because it's not the same way that you would do it on a calculator. You can't just do the caret and all of a sudden the number is squared. That's not going to work, but we'll run the code to see what happens. It's not going to square it like we expect, right? It does something, we get negative 61. So I'm not going to explain what the caret does, but it's not a way to square things or do exponents. There's actually a math method that gives us our exponents. The other thing in this video that I want to talk about is I want to talk about an operator that you might not be familiar with that Java has, which is known as the modulus operator. So the modulus operator is the percent sign on the keyboard. So this is saying 11 mod 3. Now, how the modulus operator works: first, it is at the same level of precedence as multiplication and division. The modulus operator is in there with multiplication and division in terms of when it gets executed. The modulus operator gives us the remainder after division occurs. So after we divide 11 by 3, we would get the remainder, and that is our answer. So this should give us the answer of 2. And how we can think of this modulus operator, you can set it up like long division, and depending on how you learn long division, when you set it up, and then before decimals were a thing, maybe you wrote like a little r and you wrote the number, which was the remainder after doing long division when you were first learning. So whatever you would write next to that little r, like a 2, that's what's going to be the answer. The other way to think about modulus is with a clock arithmetic. So the second number is how many hours are on the clock face, and you always start with 0 as an hour. So if we have 3, our hours are the number 0, the number 1, and the number 2. So if you would draw that like on a clock face, where you would have 0 up here, 1, and then 2. So 0, 1, 2 would form like a little triangle, but always start with 0 and count how many hours you need. And then the first number is how many hours you go around the clock. So going from 0 to 1 is 1 hour, from 1 to 2 is 2 hours, from 2 back to 0 is 3 hours. So you can kind of think of modulus that way as well, but it is the remainder that is given after division. So that's a new operator that you may or may not be familiar with. The last thing that we want to look at today when it talks about math is known as an increment and decrement operator. Now, this is something that Java has the ability to give us. So let's say we'll do like 11. We can increase result by 1 without having to say result plus 1. So we can say result plus plus, and this automatically would increase result by 1. So if we run this, we get 12. Now we could also do result minus minus, and this would decrease result by 1. So if I were to copy and paste this, I would go back to 11. So this is a way that we can increase and decrease the answer or whatever value is being stored in a variable by 1. Now I can't add more minuses and decrease it by 2 or more plus signs and increase it by 2. It's only plus plus and minus minus to increase or decrease by 1. Now where I place the plus plus or the minus minus also impacts the answer. I could place it before or after the variable name. So let's delete this. And let's see what happens by doing it before and after. Let's make int num, and int num is going to be equal to result plus 3. So just doing result plus 3, I expect to see 14. 11 plus 3 gives me 14. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. I'm still printing out result. 11 plus 3 in num gives us 14. So now we can put a plus plus after, and let's see what answer we get. So we still get 14. And if I were to print out result real quick here, we would see result has a value of 12. So it's going to be kind of curious on why is 12 plus 3 only 14? It should be 15 is what we're expecting. Well, when you put the plus plus after the variable name, the increase happens after the line of code has been executed. So this line of code executes with result having the value of 11. 11 plus 3 is 14. After this line of code is executed, once it has finished its other operations in terms of precedence, then result gets increased by 1 to 12. So it's a little tricky there. Now, if I were to put the plus plus before result and run this, we would see 15 and then results still 12 because it's getting increased by 1. But when the plus plus is placed before the variable name, well, then the precedence level changes, and this actually executes before addition normally happens. So plus plus afterwards has a different precedence level. It's a lower precedence level, meaning it happens later in the operations and it is often missed and executed. We can think of it after the entire expression has been evaluated. That's when the variable gets increased. But placing it before the variable name increases its precedence, meaning it happens earlier, meaning it happens before other operations normally happen. So the result gets increased by 1 to 12, and then plus 3 occurs, which means we have 12 plus 30 giving us 15. So that's how we have plus plus, and the same is true for minus minus as well. The last thing I want to end with is shorthand math operators. Now we can also say, let's say I want to increase result by 3. I can say result plus equals 3. Now this is going to give us the answer of 14 because this line of code, this plus equals is the exact same, right? So we're going to say same as result equals result plus 3. So we have these two lines of code. Actually, I don't like that spacing. I like them back to back here. So these two lines of code are exactly the same thing in terms of the answer that they give. Precedence level and things like that is different when you do plus equals versus the plus out here in the assignment operator there. But written out, they will give the same exact answer. So result plus equals 3 will give the same answer. It gave us 14 as saying result plus 3 gives us 14. They mean the same exact thing. Now, instead of plus, I could do minus. Minus equals is valid. I could do division. I could do multiplication. I could do modulus. So any of the normal math operators that you use when calculating expressions, evaluating expressions, you can do shorthand if you just want to increase the variable itself by another value. So if I want to increase result by some value, I can do shorthand so I don't have to type out the variable a second time. no preference on which way is better. It's your personal preference on which way you find easier or more convenient to use. My recommendation is whichever one's going to cause you to make less logical errors, use that way. Use whatever way is best for you, and that because they get you the same answer. So there we have math operators. Again, hopefully video's not too long here. Timer looks long, but it should get a little short, hopefully. But we have math operators, very quick, very basic overview of math operators. Next time, we're going to start looking at something else. I don't have the, I guess, agenda, we could call it, or whatever in front of me, so I don't know what is next up on the Q video to make, but whatever it is, hopefully it's good. Hopefully you enjoy it. As always, everybody, have a week.